have what's called a gas leak detector. And what this does is it sniffs out gas. And so we can put it back behind the stove and determine where the gas lines are coming in if there by any chance are any gas leaks. And as it happens, the piping on this stove is very old and the valves are old, and unfortunately there is a small gas leak coming out. So we are going to be changing those gas lines, and that is first, it's a safety hazard, and it's also a major fire hazard to have active gas leaking into a kitchen.
Absolutely. So we've found two major things so far. Could there possibly be anything else?
There's more.
So here we have damage caused by the stove and the condensation, right?
That's correct. By both the stove, and this is a bathroom and it is a full bath. We have a shower here, and as you look on the ceiling, there's a lot of water damage. You can also see on the ceiling there is actually no vent in this bathroom to vent out that wet, moist air. So what's happened is
that doesn't do the job.
This is actually bringing air-conditioned air into the bathroom, which is making whatever air cool, and then the water will condense onto things. So this actually makes it even more of a wet place than it already is.
Double damage. Gross. So the mold is obviously harmful.
The mold forms in the corners of the wall behind our paint, and so we've really got to come in and treat the whole ceiling and scrape it all off, bleach it, clean it. Those that can't be fixed we'll remove and replace.
Are there different types of mold?
There are. I am personally not a mold expert, but I know there are several different kinds of molds. There are toxic molds that many people have heard of. Though most of the molds you will encounter in a house is not the toxic kind, but it does do damage to your walls and your living space. Okay, and finally we come to our heating and air conditioning blower unit. One of the things we never want to see is where the blower cabinet you can actually put body parts into. That is yet another major kind of violation when it comes to home energy performance and indoor air quality. You'd like all of your air coming through through the grill down here where there is a filter, as opposed to this hole in the floor, which is certainly unfiltered. If you can get a nice peek into the closet here, you'll also see that there is no closet ceiling, which means that this is in effect taking air straight from the attic, sucking it right back into the blower, and then sending it out into the house. So we are at this moment taking unconditioned, hot, dirty, disgusting air straight from the attic, straight down here, trying to cool it and send it back to the house.
Oh my word. That's awful. That's like really bad. So for a big change like you guys are doing with this house, like a full makeover almost, what kind of percentage of savings are we looking at?
We're probably looking at least a 30% improvement on overall energy efficiency.
Wow, all those improvements. 30%.
That is called a manometer, and it is an air pressure sensor. What we are doing is we're blowing up the house, and right now we've achieved what's called 33 pascals. It's a measurement of air like a PSI, but it's much, much smaller than a PSI. So 1 PSI is about 1,000th of 1 Pascal is about 1,000th of a PSI, 0.003.
Wow, so in layman's terms, this means?
It's just a measurement that if we were to pressurize the house, this then says how leaky it is. And we're really looking at the numbers on the bottom, that 5350. It's saying 5,000 cubic feet of air, a square of air, is blowing into and out of this house. So if this house were all sealed closed, you couldn't blow that much air. Obviously, this house has so many leaks around that a huge amount of air blows right through it all day, every day, constantly.
Wow. And you would think that'd be healthy, but it's toxic air that keeps recycling.
Exactly, because it's not air that is inherently coming through the windows, which is clean. It's air that's coming through the cracks in the ceiling, from the cracks in the floor, from the cracks behind the kitchen countertops. So it's sucking all the scum through the walls and sucking the scum down through the attic ceiling and bringing it into the house.
Not cool, not cool. Well, thankfully, Handian Construction's here to save the day again. So, how many houses in this area do you think need improvements that were maybe built? I think this one was probably built in the 70s, right?
It is built around then, and I would have to say 100% of all the houses built in the neighborhood would really need this kind of attention and improvements. One of the houses that were built back then, they didn't really think about energy efficiency and building science as we understand it today. And so next door, 2 doors over, every one of these houses has all of the same problems, and they could all stand to have a major energy upgrade happen.
So maybe anything built before the mid-2000s, you were saying earlier?
Yeah, really, it's only been in the last several years that home builders have really become attuned to building science and how to make a home really energy efficient and comfortable at the same time. And houses in the 80s, even the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, all need major improvements to make them more comfortable, more healthful, and more energy efficient.
That also means apartment buildings, I'm guessing, and industrial places that were built then too.
Absolutely. Really, all of our building stock needs a major facelift.
It's time for a change, and Handian's going to help us do it.